What is going on, guys? So I have a video here for you guys, mainly for Dominic. He requested a video about my lures, so I'm just going to go over these. This is the Bloody Mary Sunday. I was actually using this on my previous video, switching between this one and the redfish toad. Now these lures are pretty similar. I'll show you here in a second. Okay, here we go. So these lures are pretty similar. The only difference is the Bloody Mary is going to have like a reddish color to it, especially in the light. But both of these are top lures for that early morning bite, fishing, you know, pretty clear water to almost brackish water. But I went out and I actually bought a bunch of colors. Here's the red bone, kind of similar to the redfish toad. Just has that different color pattern on the bottom belly. But again, another great lure for that morning, midday kind of fish. Here's the bad shad. This one's really awesome under the lights. If you go hit up a pier, you can go toss these under the light. You'll get a ton of strikes on this one. And I would like to note that some of these are actually UV colors. I haven't looked up which ones in specific, but I'm pretty sure this bad shad is a UV color. So here it is up against the light. You can see it really goes through on the light, and makes it look like a bait fish. And now here's the other one. This is the pinfish. Again, another really good color under the light. Let's say you're going to go hit one of those piers at night, catch some trout. Those two lures right there, pretty freaking awesome. Tons and tons of strikes you're going to get. So, again, these you can buy at Roy's. I actually ordered these online. And then here's my favorite, all-time favorite, Slam Shady. I've caught multiple species on this lure. It is what they say it is. You know, just that lure that catches all fish. I love throwing that lure. All right, so here's the red bone with the light behind it. You can really see that dark silhouette on the back, that clear bottom. Really awesome lure for the morning, like I said. Here's the Bloody Mary. You can see that kind of reddish color, almost with that flake in it. Really awesome lure in the morning. And then here's the red bone. Again, almost pretty similar, just a little bit slightly different color on that belly from the Bloody Mary. But again, awesome lure in the morning. Awesome lure. You can also use it throughout the day. I've caught plenty of fish throughout the day on that one, so that's kind of a go-to. Okay, so now here's how to rig these lures. Now, in my personal opinion, Texas eyes is probably your best bet. It's pretty easy to rig, and especially if you're going to be using these diesel minnows. A lot easier to rig. Again, my personal opinion. You can also use the trout eyes. Those are pretty good jig heads, but specifically those two for these lures, just because they're fitted for them. You can get away with using owners. Those are easy to use on these, but all you're going to do is slip it down through to that slit, smack dab in the middle, bring it down at the bottom. Once you get to that chin lock, just kind of wiggle it until it pops on through. And then for the bottom, just line up the slit down at the bottom. And all you're going to do is pinch it just a little bit. And then drag and drop. And boom, there you go. And that little fin on the back is going to help hide that hook. And that little jig head right there is going to be moving around. Now, I will say that these aren't completely weedless. So just a FYI. But here's how I tie mine, because those jig heads have a lot of action because it's segmented like that. I won't tie a loop knot. Normally I would, let's say if I were using a trout eye. So all I'm going to do is run it through the guide, wrap it around at least 4 times. And then I'm going to run the tag in through this little loop down at the bottom. Okay, and then with that excess tag in that I just ran through the loop, I'm going to run it through the excess loop right there. Okay, hold it, and just cinch down. Now, right there, my my son kind of messed me up there, but all he did was made me get a little bit of excess knot there. See, there I am trying to fix it. So if that ever happens, all you got to do is just try to pull it up a little bit and then just give it a nice little tug, and it'll cinch down really well. But that's how I usually tie on the Texas eyes, just because, again, it's segmented. You don't have to mess around with the loop knot, and then all you do is cut your excess tag in and you're good to go. And again, like I said, these are not 100% weedless, even though they're considered weedless. So just FYI, if you run into some issues with grass, I'd suggest switching over to a lighter jig head, like a 3/16 or an 1/8 ounce, depending on your depth of water. So these lures are so buoyant, it sits down at the bottom and it makes it look like a feeding bait fish. So that's one of the greatest advantages, I think, with these Texas eyes, with these diesel minnows. Alright, so here we have a new color. I've never seen this one before, and I love throwing these jerk shads, specifically the scented jerk shads in the 4-inch. I've never seen this color. It just caught my attention. I bought it, and I'm definitely gonna throw this one. But the really cool advantage to these is that they dart in the water. That makes it look almost like a shrimp. You can use it in that way, bouncing it off the bottom. But I've had tons and tons of success. So kind of similar to your diesel minnows, you're going to do the same thing. It has a little slit down at the bottom. Run this directly smack dab in the middle and come out probably about a 1/4 inch out of there. Run it through, wiggle the little chin lock through. And once it pops through, you're just going to turn that hook around, find the little slit. And the cool thing about these is they actually have a little line running across right there to show you exactly where the middle is. So a lot easier to rig on these. Now the only difference is you can't hide that hook like that fin does on a diesel minnow, but you can just grab some excess skin off that bait fish and kind of hide the hook. I've really had no issues with it, and the cool thing about these is they're just so easy to take off, so you can switch between lures without having to retie unless you're going to a different weight jig head. Alright, so here's another new color. This one's called Midnight Oil. They have another one called Motor Oil. The only difference between the two is this one has the gold flakes in it and silver flakes. UV colored, I know that for sure. That's the reason I bought this one. You can throw it under the lights, throw it during the day. When you put it under a light, it really looks like motor oil. When rigging these up, you're going to use the trout eye, since it is the 3-inch, and all you're going to do is run it all the way through. And when you get to that, the points of the jig head, just push it all the way down to the bottom of the jig head. Okay, so real quick, guys, I'm just going to show you one of the cons of these lures. This has happened to other lures for me, but this is by far the worst. If you leave these out in the sun, let's say in your box, in a car, like I did, this is what's going to happen to you. So just an FYI, try to keep them in those little trays in the package and carry what you need, and that's it. Okay, last but not least is the Topwater. This is the one I was throwing on the last video, along with the redfish toad and the Bloody Mary. So this one is a chartreuse top with silver bottom, she-dog. I had just gotten it. I was excited to throw it. I'm glad it worked. Now, as far as tips go for throwing a Topwater, I always like to keep my rod tip down unless it's really calm water. If you're throwing into the wind specifically, keep that rod tip down and just try to work it that way and run your cadence 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Try to get into that rhythm. You can always go fast or you can slow it down. So here I have 25-pound stren. I'm using monofilament, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a loop knot. So all you're going to do is make a loop, run your tag in through that loop, pull it down, and you can make it any size you want to. This is what I'm comfortable with. Grab it by the loop. Now you're going to run your tag in through the loop or the eye, Okay, and then you're going to take that tag in and run it back through the loop that you made. Right there. Come on, Mike. There you go. Alrighty. Now cinch it down just a little bit to where you get this. And that's really where you can decide how big you want your loop. I'm just comfortable with what I do, so I'm gonna pinch it with my my thumb and my finger, and then I'm gonna wrap it around 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then through the bottom, run it through that little loop, and cinch it down. Now, if you have a little bit of issues, you can use your thumb, run it down just a little bit, and then use your teeth, grab the tag in, and pull, and you're gonna end up with something like this. Very effective. This is if you don't have those little rings on it, you can do this. I prefer it this way, and that's really going to give you that side-to-side action. It's going to allow it to run through that loop and give you that nice side-to-side action. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Those are the lures I like to throw, some new ones, some old standbys, and I hope you enjoyed the video.